What's up, guys? So I just wanted to do a quick walkthrough of my new product, Real Clouds, similar to what I did with Real Fire, just kind of going through and talking about it in a little bit of a longer video beyond the trailer. So what comes with the pack, it's going to come organized in a few folders. It's like 6 folders and a material. So as you can see, we've got like abstract cumulus, bonus clouds, cumulonimbus, flat bottom cumulus, lots of cumulus because those are kind of what I figured is like these are the ones that I think are you might need more help creating. If you want wispy clouds, honestly, you can just you can take like some of the cumulus clouds and just adjust the shader and get those to kind of look wispy. But I still made a wispy setup also. And then we got stratus clouds and wispy clouds. So if you're in your asset browser, this is the normal sort of way that they're organized. It's like you go in here to a folder, you have a scene file, and then you have some samples. And the samples are set up to work with Redshift, but obviously these are VDBs, so they can work with any renderer. But yeah, the samples are really just there so that you can see what the scene file, the type of cloud that it makes, but also if you just need some clouds like right now and you're not trying to make your own clouds, then you can just grab these guys. But obviously the thing that I think is kind of like interesting about the set is that it has the scene files for you to be able to build and design your own clouds. So if we grab the top folder here and click this little button, this is kind of convenient because we can just see everything a little bit nicer. So the top here, category just means folder in Cinema 4D language. And then these are, like if I click on this, this is a Redshift VDB sort of like object. So these are just made for convenience for you to be able to drag and drop, and it's already got the material on there and all tweaked and everything. So these are just ready to go. So that's just for convenience. But these are referencing all the VDBs that are right here. And then these guys are the scene files that have the setups. So first, just to show how easy it is, like I just dragged this guy in. So let's just grab a bunch of these. I think the cumulonimbus are like good for like if you want to kind of design like one specific sort of like hero cloud. Like I'm just gonna take these and throw them in a cloner and scatter them, and that's just a really easy way to really quickly build up a cloudscape. So if we take that and grab a random effector, let's keep them all at the same height, but let's add a bunch of rotation randomness. Do something like that. Okay, cool. And so I also like to do these videos just so that some of the stuff you're going to run into, like when you try and use this, just to kind of give you a heads up so that you can be aware of that. Like for instance, if we come in here and just start the IPR for Redshift, these are going to look really dark and kind of weird and crappy quality initially. Oh, they're not going to look like anything because I haven't put any lights in the scene. So yeah, first things first, add a light to the scene. And we'll just do a Redshift sky object. Let's just bring this up so I can actually see it. There we go. And there we go. All right, let's try that again. All right, so you can see things look a little bit dark. I'm gonna lower the horizon height a bit, like that. And that is because, now, you can't really tell this on your end looking at this, but while these look dark, and the shadows are really dark, and that's not good. This is rendering really fast. So one of the first things to know is that you need to go into your redshift settings under globals, and under trace depths you have to increase the volume trace depth. So you can see here it's set to just 1, and you'll see a big dramatic difference by increasing this. So you can see that completely changes how the clouds look by going from 1 to 2. And things are still pretty dark in the shadows though. So let's go from 2 to 3. That's a lot better. And if we go from 3 to 4, that's even better. So yeah, so that's basically just kind of defining for the renderer kind of like how deeply the light ray is going to pass through the volume. So at 4, you can see things are looking pretty good, but it takes a lot longer for this to render. And the clouds they can be a little slow to render. So that's just something to be aware of. That's like a balance that you'll have to set. The other way that you can have some effect and impact on this is obviously within the shader. So I don't know if we can edit multiple shader parameters at once. Let's try. But under, or these are different types of shader, are they? No, they're all the same. Okay. So yeah, you can go there, go under advanced, and there's really two things that I sort of recommend playing with to change how the clouds look. So that's going to be the density remap, and that's really just going to affect how dense they are. This is what I was talking about. Like if you wanted a cloud to look wispy, you can just reduce this new max here to, let's say, just reduce it a lot. And you can easily get your clouds to look wispy just by remapping the density. And the other, what was this at 1.25, I think, so that they're pretty nice and fluffy, is this shadow density scale. So if we start to lower that, that's not, I mean, it basically just makes the shadows less dark, and but it doesn't have that same feeling like light is passing, the normal thing that would stop the shadows from being dark is if there's just a lot of light passing through the cloud. It seems like it's more of just like a multiplier versus it being kind of like some physically accurate thing. So, but I mean, visually, you just have to art direct it, and maybe it's good enough because these are a lot. Like if we bring this back down to, like, say 2, so now we've got like a lot of darkness in the shadows, but things are going to render a lot faster. But then we bring the shadow density scale way down. You can see that we get like a similar look, but in terms of how long it's going to take to render these, this is going to be a lot faster than if this volume trace depth was at 4. So it'll be up to you to kind of like figure out, to balance these settings and figure out like what works for you. But anyway, beyond that, you can see that just really quickly, we can get something that looks organic, and there's enough clouds here just in these, I don't know how many is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that I dropped in here. If we just take those and just like rotate them around a bit, like they look, organic, and it's really easy to just set up a whole cloudscape, and obviously like the cloner, just normal sort of like cloner tools will work on these, and it's really easy to set up. So that's the samples. So let's jump into a scene file though. Which one do we want? Let's do the flat bottom. Now each one of these different scene files is a different setup, but a similar logic in all of them, which is there's some sort of mesh or curve or something, some sort of like emission thing. And then I've already just dialed in the settings for things like turbulence. Most things are, there's going to be like a vertex map with like some animation on it. And all of these are set up to where the top node has some user data, and that's going to affect the things that are going to make the biggest difference. So like if you just say like you wanted to just make a whole set of these flat bottom cumulus clouds, then obviously there's a bunch of settings in here that you can tweak. But if you really just want to get new cloud, you come in here, you change this one time, change that one time, and then that's going to be a new cloud. So now these are a little slow to sim, so I don't want to do too much simming on this video, but you can just see there's keyframes already set up on things like how long the emitter emits from. And so there's going to be kind of like a certain spot, a sweet spot for where you would pause this and say, okay, that looks good. And what you do is you just go to the Pyro output, right click, and just say current state to object. And that's going to output, that's just going to like sort of freeze that frame. And for a cloud, you don't need the velocity, you don't need the temperature, all you need is the density. So now you've got this density and it's a VDB, and then you just save that. So one thing that you would need to do to be aware of is you need to save this scene file somewhere. Like if you wanted to do this, if you wanted to output your own clouds, what's best for like organization's sake is to save this wherever you want to save the VDBs, because when you click save right here, it's just going to save it in the same folder as your scene file. But you open the scene file up from the asset browser, so you don't want to, you want to save it in a place that's just somewhere on your computer, not trying to dig through. Like I don't even know if this scene file actually is on my computer, so it's not gonna work like that. But yeah, just save it somewhere on your computer first, and then you save this, and it's just gonna save it as density.vdb. You go in, you rename it, and then now you've got your own custom VDB. You can take that and you can drag it into the asset browser. You can just like build this setup, yourself over time and have your own VDB set that's custom made by you. Now, obviously, also, I can just delete this. If you delete this without saving it, then it's not going to save it anywhere. You have to save it, otherwise, yeah, it just goes away. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought a little bit. Anyway, so yeah, that's the scene files. Oh, what I was going to say was that with all these, you can go in and change this. This is all just normal Cinema 4D stuff. So you'll see like even in here, there's some stuff that's oh, it's not actually in this file. But there in some files, in some of the scene files, there might be like some stuff that's inactive. Like say if you wanted this to kind of have this flat top sort of cumulonimbus thing, then obviously you can just come in here and create a plane and put it up here. And this is just going to be a little janky just to prove the point. Simulation, make this a collider. So all of these are set up to, unlike with my Real Fire setup, which was not scene files. It was made to just be sort of like an asset that can be dragged and dropped. These are all scene files. So what that ultimately means is that there's no custom simulation scene. So you can just come in here and start working with these immediately without needing to do anything. You just come in and just like start working with it just like a normal scene file. Okay, so yeah, just to show that they're all like totally editable, manipulatable, and yep, you can do whatever you want with them. All right, so let's close that, and I'll just maybe go through. I mean, that's basically it. But let's maybe look at one more just to see the variety of the setups. Um, so like I said, it's a bunch of different setups, but each one is set up a little bit differently to get like different shapes, different features in the clouds. This is the what I just called the bonus one, and really this one just kind of makes really sort of like abstract looking shapes. And I think that it is good for if you like. I think it's good for like accents because I looked at a lot of reference for making this. Um, I have a lot of sort of like big fluffy cumulus and cumulonimbus, like sort of like skies where I live. So all I really got to do is just kind of like look out my window and I can see tons of reference. And what I see is, along with the typical, like I said, just kind of like big fluffy clouds, and then you got like where I live, there's lots of cumulonimbus, so there's like these big tall big fluffy clouds, but there's usually just like a lot of things that kind of look like this, these sort of like abstract shapes. Some of them are long, some of them are tall. It kind of is all over the place, so I wanted to make something that did that also. And we've got 4 seeds here that pretty dramatically change how things look. So they've all just got a default value. So let's just go in and change every single one. And you can see we get like a completely different shape, which is pretty cool. And shading and everything is set up in here just so you can get a quick preview of like what things actually look like. Just go forward a frame. And yeah, so you've just got this like abstract looking cloud. And like I said, when you go in and you just change that seed, change all those seeds just on the top node, boom, 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 you'll get a completely different shape every time. And that's basically how they all work. All of them aren't this dramatic. I picked this one because this one is the most dramatic in terms of how different a shape you will get, because this setup is made to make like very random shapes. The other one are a little bit more like controlled to be certain types of shapes. This one's made to be a little bit more abstract, but that's the basic idea behind every single one of the scene files, is that they're just set up to make a certain type of cloud. One more I should probably actually go through now that I'm thinking about it is the cumulonimbus, because this one might look a little bit weird. So what I've got going on in here, and I've got a little notation that explains this, but basically what's happening is that if we turn these deformers off, we've just got something that looks like this. But what I recommend for this one is that if you want to make a cumulonimbus cloud, is that you grab some reference and then do what I did here, which is like just kind of move this around a bit, and you can get lots of different shapes. The default without any tweaking doesn't really look like much. It takes some manipulating this base to kind of get this to look interesting. That's why I just left one in here. But this isn't meant to be like the deformation that you put on this. It's more just like this is probably going to need some sort of deformation and moving these points around to get an interesting shape. So I just like left one in here. So if we press play on this one, and give it a second. So you can kind of see the shape that gives you. These, again, like these kind of big, tall, fluffy shapes. But yeah, it shouldn't be like literally just straight up and down. But I mean, this is all your you can go in here and play with it. So it's not, this is about as much as I can do for you without like it being so specific that it's kind of defeating the purpose of making something where you can make your own stuff. So this one, again, this one is meant to be sort of like tweaked and deformed from this basic shape, because the basic shape doesn't really look like much. Okay, so that's that. The rest, that's the only one that's like that. The rest of them, it's pretty much like you can just open it up and press play, and it's going to generate the cloud, a cloud that's like the examples. So yeah, this is like the flat bottom cumulus cloud maker. These are set up to be about, I mean, I'd say they're maybe like medium res in terms of like how detailed they are. Of course, you can go in and you can make them more detailed. I think that a thing to be mindful of is that with Pyro and Cinema 4D, and this is pretty much with all sim stuff where you're dealing with VDBs, as you increase the, or rather decrease the voxel size, it will change the simulation. So if you need these to be like, if they're like hero, you're going to be like super close up to the cloud sort of things, and or you need to just make like some cloud that just has a ton of detail, then yeah, you just go in here, go to the pyro scene, pyro, and the voxel size, and lower this. So these are set at 0.5. Like I said, it's a decent amount of detail, but it's not just like crazy over the top. They're still made to where each VDB is between like, I don't know, I think the lightest one is maybe 40 megs and the heaviest one is like still less than 200 megs per VDB. So they're not like gigs and gigs and gigs of VDBs. Uh, but yeah, all that obviously is still stuff that you can just go in and you can change and modify, and it's all good. And of course, as I mentioned, they're all set up to have the main seeds in the top node. So you just go in here, you change these two settings, and you'll get a different cloud. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Um, Let me know if in the comments if you guys have any questions. If you buy the set, please leave a review, leave a comment. Just let me know, like, hey, I got it, it works, or hey, I got it. I wish this was like this, whatever. Um, yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I'd appreciate that. Thanks again for the support, and I'll catch you all in the next video.